Hello, everyone. This is Debbie Happy Cohen here, founder of Joy-Based Living. And I started a series a few weeks ago called What Do You Know? Because when people hold space for what they really, really know, they live more authentic lives in full self-expression. And when people do that, their energy flows stronger, more powerfully, more beautifully, and they're less likely to have depression and anxiety. They're more likely to have a feeling of real joy that comes from the inside. It's not dependent on anything outside. And so today I want to talk about three levels of blowing someone off, including yourself, three levels and three levels of holding space. And of course, the idea is that you hold space, right? That you hold space for what's true, for what's real, for what you really know in yourself and in others. And it really makes the world that we live in way more magical. I know it has for me and for every single Joy Based Living member who's actually been invested in their own growth and progress. So, okay, without further ado, three levels of blowing someone off: emotionally, spiritually, and inner wisdomly. So what does that mean? Emotionally, this is a ladder of emotions, a scale of emotions. You can get it for free at Joy Based Living if you just Google Joy Based Living feelings ladder, or I think that's what it's called. Sometimes I call it the emotional scale. Different people have created versions of this, and this one is just extremely simple and it's very easy to refer to. I have different versions of it, different sizes of it all around my house, and that's what I recommend people do. So the first level of blowing yourself off or somebody else off is that an emotion that you're not comfortable with. Some people are not comfortable feeling peaceful. Some people are very uncomfortable feeling joy. Some people are very uncomfortable feeling anger. Most people are not comfortable feeling shame, powerlessness, the very bottom. And the very top also makes people feel uncomfortable, feeling really powerful, feeling fully alive. When I show up in full regalia like this, sometimes, little kids are like, "Oh my God, are you a Disney queen or whatever?" And they're like, "I want to sit next to you." It's really cute because they just believe everything. And some people look at me like I'm really weird. And some people look at me and are like, wishing they could be more fully self-expressed. It's a little bit strange. But okay, before I tell you the other levels of blowing people off on yourself off, I'm wearing what I have posted at Facebook a few times and at Patreon for those of you who are there. Um, Cape, collar, crown, and they're different levels of authority. And so from this level, a higher level of self-authority, sovereignty, power, and agency, that's what these represent. They say, hey, this cape represents that I have authority over what I feel. This collar represents I have authority over my own spirituality. And this crown represents I have authority of my own inner wisdom because nobody can tell me what I feel. Nobody can tell you what you feel. Nobody can tell you your experience of spirituality. And I define spirituality after years of like really working with people who've had like spiritual abuse and spiritual neglect, um, and who I felt would really just do so much better if they could have a deeper sense of connection with something bigger. So I define spirituality as feeling connected with the infinite field of loving intelligence that's in us and all around us. And some people call it source, some people call that God, some people get offended if you call it source or if you call it universe. I don't care what you call it. It doesn't care what you call it. I don't believe. So that's my authority. That's what I choose. Part of, this was kind of a little bit of a joke on, but not so much a joke. There have been people who were accidentally in the hospital given their last rites by a priest, and they believed in the priest's robe and they believed in the priest's color. And the priest had gone into the wrong room, and the person was actually not supposed to be given their last rites, and then they would die. And those kind of stories really impress me about the power of our minds, the power of our authority, and the importance of being what some people call an outlier. And that means somebody who's doing something different than the rest of the culture is doing. Somebody who's being more true to their own inner voice. Okay, I promised you three. So, three levels of blowing yourself out. You can blow yourself off emotionally, you can blow yourself off or somebody else off spiritually, and you can blow yourself off in terms of your inner wisdom. The biggest regrets I ever have had in my life, and I've heard this from other people as well, is when I knew something and I didn't follow it. I mean, those are the moments that you go, I should have listened, I should have listened. And what does it do? Kind of makes you stronger afterwards for a lot of people because they're like, no, I better listen now because it'll hurt if I don't. It'll really, really hurt if I don't. And so, what we do together at Joy Based Living, because this is what's really important about community and the community that you choose. And the reason I developed Joy Based Living was I wanted to be surrounded by people who would hold space for each other, for each other, for each other in every level of emotion. And so as you kind of do a yoga stretch into each emotion, you become more available to hold more space for more people in all the different levels of emotion. I wanted to be surrounded by people who would hold space for each other spiritually by respecting and being inclusive about whatever someone else's beliefs are, as long as they're kind, as long as the beliefs are kind, and benevolent, like a queen, right? Like a good queen would be benevolent, wants good things for everybody in the community. And I forgot what I was saying just now, but I'm going to keep going. Yes, yes, people could hold space for emotions, people who could hold space for each other's spirituality. Because what happens when you do that and you do it together, you create what's called heart and brain coherence. Some people call that a prayerful state. And when you do that, you can give life to life. And when you do it together, you can really send good thoughts and energy to people and really, really make a difference, even in a bigger way, because your energy is kind of multiplied then. And where with the emotions, when someone holds space for any emotion, that emotion is allowed to flow through. The emotions are not who you are, but if you don't accept who you really are, the emotions, sometimes you'll get stuck in your emotions and they'll freeze, just like the movie Frozen. Let it go, right? And so then we have the third level, that I wanted people to hold space for each other, not just by themselves, is to hold space for each other's wisdom. And this is so important. And I'm speaking especially to women, because women have more access to their intuition than men do, in my experience. In my experience, and I've been coaching for almost 30 years. In my experience, women have more access. One of the things that women have that struggle with is verbalizing their intuition, their inner wisdom. And when you have somebody really listening to you and holding space for you and sending you energy while you're speaking, like healthy, good, non-agenda energy, the words formulate themselves more clearly. And then you're more able to stand strong. You have somebody believing in you, somebody going, yes, I hear you. I want for you what you want for you. And that is one of the most precious and most powerful gifts you can ever receive and ever give to anyone else. And to just kind of lighten it a little bit here, you can give this to a cashier or a waitress that you meet in the grocery store or in the restaurant today. You can give this to somebody that you meet on the street. You can hold space for anybody. And so the main thing that we practice at Joy Based Living is the 12 practices. I want to say one thing about that. They are not sexy. They're like the structural beams of a house. You don't see them. Nobody talks about them. But if they're not, I mean, unless you're a builder or a contractor, but if they're not there, you wouldn't want to be living in that house. And so the 12 practices are like structural beams for your mind, for your inner world, so that you can hold space and grow the positive emotions while releasing the ugly emotions that you don't want to be holding on to. There are no bad emotions. Every emotion has its place, just like every kind of weather has its place. There's nothing bad about any emotion. and to hold space for your spirituality so that it can develop and grow and you can feel more trust in your experience of life itself and have a relationship with life itself. And for some people, this is in a form of religion, and that's fine too. This is all inclusive. And so holding space for that, I love praying with people. I don't care what denomination they are or no denomination. I don't care. I don't care. And that's my experience. That's my inclusivity. That's my queendom. And then to hold space for inner wisdom. I am holding space for your inner wisdom every time I'm doing one of these videos when I ask you the question, what do you know? And so I'll end with this. There are three levels of understanding that I understand at Joy-Based Living, and that's Vulture Culture. And that's where you do the 12 practices. You get your cultural conditioning awareness. You choose what you want to believe. You release what you don't want to believe. You become more embodied. You become more honoring of yourself and of others, and you know what that feels like. You learn what that really feels like, and you learn how to grow it. And then the level of homing pigeon is when pigeons who know how to find home. They know how to be messenger pigeons and come right back home. And you do that by beaming out a signal that feels like home to you. And I call it, for me, it's homing aliveness. You can home anything you want. I've been homing aliveness and activating joy. And so the more you home something, the more likely you are to achieve that and find that. It will find you the more you home it. So I'm using it as a verb. Love that. And then the next level of understanding is hummingbirds in flight, and that is people who just are worlds. Each one of us is a world of wisdom, and so honoring the hummingbird in flight in each one of us. Like if I have a very brand new client, they have a hummingbird in flight in them. They have inner wisdom. It's my job to help them find it, um, and to get all the other stuff out of the way, to help them tune into who they really are so they can access their own inner wisdom on their own. And so hummingbirds in flight are people who've really just cleaned up their feathers from the oil of the unhealthy cultural conditioning, cleaned up their feathers so they could fly again. And that's what we're doing at Joy-Based Living. We are hummingbirds in flight. And I know I'm mixing all kinds of metaphors. This is my turtle that represents me as Reverend Sassy Shorts, and that's why I wear a turtle, because that is the animal totem for Reverend Sassy Shorts. I became a reverend on St. Patty's Day. That's why Jonathan is wearing St. Patty's Day glasses in 2019. I was not drunk. I just felt like it was time. So, hope you're having a beautiful day. Tune into the question, what do you know? And give yourself a big hug. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you more than words can say. Bye for now.